Hey guys, what's happening? So for this one, we're jumping back into Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men as we cover the origin of Shinobu Kageyama. And aside from that, a lot of you have been asking how all of this connects to the Maker's Council, so we'll talk about that too. And if you're just hopping in here, I got a playlist that'll get you caught up on all of our Ultimate X-Men coverage, as well as another one that'll get you caught up on everything else that's happening in the Ultimate Universe, because we've been covering it all. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so in our previous talk, one of the last things we saw was Mei Iragashi, aka Maystorm, and Nico Minoru, also known as the fledgling psychic, coming up with the idea of their friends forming a team called the X-Men, with them all having a common enemy in the Shadowman, who they recently discovered Nico's able to combat with her psychic powers. And also around this time, with Nico noticing a symbol inside of Hisako's Amamori, she knew right away because of her grandmother's notes, in addition to some rumors she had heard, that this symbol belonged to a secret cult comprised of mutants, who we'll learn more about in a moment here, as far as who and what they are and how they're connected to a member of the Maker's Council. But first, we pick up with Nico, Mei, Hisako, as well as Mori and Natsu, who've all come together so that Nico can show them what she's learned from her grandmother's diary about this cult, because when her grandmother was alive, she devoted herself to learning everything about the cult, and all the information she gathered, she put it all in one book. And Nico knows this book very well because she was trying to learn as much as she could from her grandmother, who was also a psychic. But the notes that her grandmother collected about this cult, they're not complete. And we're told here that there's a number of details that her grandmother was either not able to connect or make sense of in some cases. But one of the things that we're given by way of the lexicon in issue 6 is a breakdown of what much of this means, with it mentioning things like Homo Superior equaling God, prophetic symbols of ancient civilizations, things like the Testament of X, blood rituals, and a lot of this will be referring back to, as Nico and the others figure it out over time, while other parts we'll see as the story continues. But right now, with Nico showing this to the others, and really just Hisako, cause Natsu and Mori are playing basketball, and Mei has already been told about most of this, so she's more interested in learning about the blood rituals. But this now has Hisako looking at the symbol like, okay, wow, this really is the same one from that cult. And what's crazy here is when Mori comes over to look at what they're talking about, because again, her and Natsu really weren't paying attention before. But when Mori comes over, she recognizes that symbol as the symbol for the Children of the Atom, which is how they discovered the name of the cult. So leading up to now, they figured that Hisako's stalker, or the Shadowman, had some sort of connection to this cult, given the clues that they found so far. But now it has them thinking, since Hisako's late friend, Tsubasa, had originally given her the Omamari, that it's possible that he was a member of the cult too. But while they're talking about this, Natsu is suspiciously quiet, and this catches Nico's attention, because at the same time, Mori's off to the side looking like, oops, I might have said too much. But it's here where Natsu tells Mori that it's okay. It doesn't matter if they know. And that's when Natsu tells the others, our parents, they're members of that group. We're not supposed to talk about it to outsiders. So for a moment here, Nico and the others are just like, okay, I guess it wasn't so hard to find that secret church after all. But just after getting this reveal, the next thing we do is head over to Kageyama for a moment, where all we've known up to this point is that this kid is the man behind the Shadow Man. But now that Hisako, Nico, and the others have learned about the Children of the Atom, the story now opens up to give us Kageyama's background, with him saying here, my name is Shinobu Kageyama. I am 16 years old and attend Amatsuki Academy. I was born and raised in a normal middle-class family. I get normal grades. I have normal friends, of a sort. However, there is one thing about me that is not normal. Since I was little, I can hear people's thoughts. What's more, others can hear mine too. It's taken me some time to control this power. Even my mother was unsettled by my ability. What was inside my head disturbed her. She tried to kill me. Children of the Atom saved my mother, saved me. They told me that I am special, that I am superior. They say I am a savior to this world. Do you think so too? They taught me how to control my abilities. They told me I can bring light and power to the world. I was guided by the Children of the Atom, which was founded on the teachings of the Testament of X. Now, not only can I freely communicate with others mentally, I can show them what I want them to see. The Children of the Atom also taught me how to suppress the madness inside me. I guess that was a good thing. Mother seems happier, at any rate. If Mother is happy, my family is happy. I was obedient and lived the way they told me. Until I met you, Hisako Ichiki. And with us seeing this, we now have the background of Kageyama and the confirmation of him being a part of the Children of the Atom. And there's a little more to it that we'll get to in a moment. But in the here and now, one of the main things we don't know just yet is why he's obsessed with Hisako Ichigi, which from here takes us back to Hisako and the others, as they suddenly hear a strange sound and see the sky getting dark, just before they're approached by the shadowman again. But this time it looks a lot more like Kageyama. And at this point, Hisako, Mei, and Nico, they're all ready to take this dude on. And really just based on their experience of going up against him before. But when he gets there, Hisako, she rushes this dude first. And it's mainly coming from a place of frustration since she's been attacked by him the most. And when she equips herself with her psionic exoskeleton armor, she rushes towards him saying, "You think I'm the one closed off from the world, that I have no friends? Why don't you come out from the shadows?" And when she confronts Kageyama, we see him back home flipping out, saying things like, "My Hisako doesn't talk like that," which just comes off as super creepy and disturbing. But while he's distracted, Hisako's able to use her armor and grab the shadow in an attempt to pull it off of him, because she doesn't know that he's not actually here. And while she's doing this, not soon the others start to step forward and help out, only for Nico to tell them to wait and give Hisako a chance to do what she's doing. But this only leads to Kageyama appearing to her as if he were under the shadow. Although in this case, we know that he's not actually here, but even still, he's doing this to speak to Hisako. And right now, he wants her to see what he looks like so he could ask her if she remembers him, only for Hisako to tell him, "I don't. Who are you?" And that just pisses him off even more. So quickly, Hisako tells Nico to use her magnifying glass scepter, which was effective against Kageyama before, and it works again, destroying the construct. But back over at Kageyama's home, he is physically in pain. And that's when we see his mother tell him that they need to go see the maester, who's the leader of the Children of the Atom. And that's when we jump forward a short amount of time, with someone telling the maester it's Kageyama, to where he responds again, "I suppose it's to be expected for his age. Adolescence, hormonal imbalances cause unstable behavior. Inform Miss Kageyama he will be fine. After all, he isn't like the rest. He is one of the chosen, a true homo superior." And when we see this gives us a glimpse into what's going on with the Children of the Atom, beyond what we've learned so far. Because as it turns out, since Kageyama's family has joined the Children of the Atom, they discovered, in addition to his telepathy and his astral projection abilities, he's also able to activate dormant X genes within other children who have the potential to become mutants. And that's mainly what they've been using him for, outside of him kind of going off and doing his own thing in relation to Hisako. But on top of that, before him, the first mutant that the Children of the Atom brought in is a mutant by the name of Akihiro, where in his case, there hasn't been a direct connection just yet to say that he's the son of Ultimate Wolverine, though I imagine that will happen at some point. But we find out through the course of this that Akihiro was the first mutant who was used by the Children of the Atom in a series of experiments where they used his blood to try to activate dormant X genes within other children to unlock the potential of them becoming mutants. Though this process has yielded mixed results, leading to the deaths of many who just didn't survive the experimentation. And we'll see examples of this as the story continues. But right now, the Children of the Atom are using Akihiro's blood to heal Kageyama from the injury he sustained facing Nico, since Akihiro has this advanced healing factor. And right here, this fills in part of the mystery as far as Nico's grandmother's research, pertaining to the blood rituals and mutations, as well as the whole cult aspect. Because after this, when we head over to the Temple of the Revealed X, we see one of the speeches given by the Maester, who at this point is calling for new candidates to step forward and quote-unquote embrace their destiny, which is basically the process of them undergoing the experimentation. And I gotta say, when we see this guy, he reminds me of the Count Dracula from Hotel Transylvania. Like anytime I see him, that's the first thing I think of. But nonetheless, what he ends up saying here is, "In the name of the Testament of X, I, your maester, have devoted my life to you as your humble servant, ensuring your joy and equality, my Children of the Atom. But like all children, you have outgrown your parent. The time has come to reveal your genetic superiority and revel in your powers, to become truly free. The end times are upon us. The world will naturally look to you, the next stage of evolution, to save them. And you must be ready. Those yet to find their strength must blossom. Control and master your gifts. Embrace your divinity. Let us begin, my Children of Atom, our most sacred ceremony. Receive your endowment." And as this is going on, you'll notice some of the children we've already been introduced to throughout this story are highlighted in the background, like Natsu and Noriko. Because from here, in the case of Noriko, who's also known as Surge, with her having the blue hair and the electric powers, and also being a friend of Kageyama, when we follow her from this cult meeting, it's here where we see that they got this whole setup where they check on the different mutants who have their powers, they monitor any side effects, and they make it seem like it's this friendly children's healthcare thing going on. But when Noriko finishes her checkup, she tries to sneak off and find Kageyama, with her seeing the shadows coming from a room nearby, only for her to get stopped by one of the nurses, who tells her with the biggest smile on her face that Kageyama can't be disturbed right now. And right after this, when we go back to Kageyama to see what's going on with him, this is where we peel back a whole nother layer and get our connection to the Maker's Council. Because it's here where we go back to the Maester, who's having this conversation over Kageyama, where he's handed a report from church, which is likely along the lines of the number of new candidates who've come forth to quote-unquote embrace their divinity. And there's more information that he's shown here that we'll talk about. Because he says here, "My dear children, follow the righteous path to godhood." And he looks at Kageyama saying, "Guide them like a shepherd and ensure none lose their way. After all, their blood is our most sacred relic, especially the miraculous Mr. Kageyama here. His gift, his X gene, is beyond imagination. Not only his telepathy, but his ability to activate latent powers in others, to awaken them to their potential, a superior among superiors. More blessed children arise each day, yet their gifts appear only in moments of crisis, when they are irresolute. We must bolster the faithful. We need more like our Mr. Kageyama. Perhaps these new children need to be guided to their full potential." And as he's saying this, we're shown images of Hisako, Mei, and Nico, as he's handed a paper and he confirms that these are the children who he's talking about, who he refers to as lost sheep, to be brought into their flock. True Homo Superior, which right there lets us know that he has his eyes on Hisako and the others. And just after this, when there's a knock on the door, it's here where he's met by the arrival of Viper, who I believe we had last seen in Ultimate Universe 1 year in. So with her being a part of the Maker's Council and coming down here to see Maester, it's a big deal, and you can tell that he's terrified by her presence alone. But the reason why Viper's come here is because she has a growing concern about the number of deaths that have happened in the last year. Because aside from the failed experiments with the children of the atom, you also have the deaths caused by Kageyama. But to Viper, she just sees this as Maester being sloppy with his work, because all of these deaths are putting them at risk to being exposed to the public. And she more or less threatens him here by telling him, "You won't like it if I'm forced to take matters into my own hands. Emperor Sunfire would not be pleased if this went public." So he tries to assure her here that he has it under control, because he thinks this is just about the failed experiments. So he tells her he burns each of the bodies himself, and he goes on to tell her like, "Hey, if you want this to stay a secret, we probably shouldn't be talking about this here." And as soon as he says that, that's when Kageyama's eyes open. And it's an immediate shock to them, because they thought he was sedated. But even now, Kageyama, he's calling out for Hisako, and once again saying "my Hisako," while at the same time sending out a telepathic attack that has Maester in a chokehold. And this leads to Viper having to step up and make sure that he's sedated this time. But nonetheless, this isn't a good look for Maester, because he was just telling Viper how he had this whole thing under control. And now this lets Viper know about Kageyama's interest in Hisako Ichiki, which will only make things more complicated for the Ultimate X-Men going forward. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.